to really think about having this chunk of time and what you would like to do with the chunk of time. If I had no say or opinion about it at all, I want you to really I want you to sit here, take some deep breaths, and I want you to think about it. What do you really feel like doing? What does it mean to feel like doing something? Explore. If you were to ask them like that, you'd probably get a different answer than, you want to do this thing right now, don't you, Jeffrey? Are you sure you don't ask him that way?
I'm pretty sure.
No, you could go to debate camp. You could go to debate camp. You know, debate camp is he'll learn a lot about debate and learn a few things about life probably as well. So I've never been to debate camp, but supposedly what happens at debate camp stays at debate camp, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, I would recommend debate camp from a debate perspective for sure. I don't know. It's up to you if you think your kid's maybe a year too young to go stay off in a college dorm for a summer. That is a perfectly reasonable thing to think about an 8th grader. I don't know if you think that or not. That's obviously something as parents. So if you think he's old enough for that, then yeah, send him to debate camp. If you think you want to give him another year of pseudo childhood, then don't.
Well, I guess for me and my husband, we always feel like, I mean, Jeffrey could study with you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But I mean, the thing is, I don't know, yeah, I mean, I feel you, but I don't know, debate camp. You really get to be a debater, you go to debate camp. It's what debaters do. Camp, that makes you a real debater if you do those things. Full blast, Yeah, I went to camp 3 years. I got 4 TSC bids. It's part of the whole Uber debater shtick. If you want him to have the whole experience and really get into, walking around talking debate jargon with his debate friends so that nobody else in the school can understand what they're talking about, then you want him to go to debate camp.
I see.
Why do you need him to know what he's going to do in the future right now?
Well, I guess, usually at this age, you kind of know. Like, it's one way or the other, right?
He's an ENTP. He's going to be sort of good at everything. The thing he's really, really good at is debate. That's where he has the most maximal potentially talent. Okay, everything else is kind of smoke and mirrors. He doesn't really care. He's not detail oriented. He doesn't want to have to do all that crap. He thinks that now because he doesn't know what he wants because he's FI polar and he has no relationship with his feelings whatsoever. Like if I were to say, okay, Chloe, do the speech right now, she's not going to bust it out. It's going to be like pulling teeth, and she's going to want to have it. Right. The whole thing scripted out. Anytime I ask her for any kind of improvisation or analysis, she's going to freeze completely. So everything's going to be fully scripted out. And then when any opponent catches her off guard with an argument she's not prepared for ahead of time, or it sounds a little different than one that she's prepared for, but it's the same thing, but it's phrased differently, and she can't distinguish that, then she's toast. She's not going to be able to figure out what to do. She's not going to improvise anything on the fly. And but I mean, look, if you want to try her out in debate, yeah, fine. But I hate to say that somebody's gonna fail because of their personality type, but she's any polar, you know. She has no extroverted intuition. She does have TI, but she's gonna have to learn everything. She's not gonna. She's gonna have to really. I mean, she's great. Gonna be great at learning everything too. So it's possible, I guess. It's just she's not gonna really get good until she's heard and mastered every single argument that there is, basically.
Wow. Okay. I mean,
I mean, Chloe's a highly competent ISTP, but you can see it in everything we do. When you ask her to come up with ideas, what does she do? She freezes. She has nothing to say. Looks like, and she looks like, you know. I mean, she could do just about any kind of speech thing, but she's probably not going to be good at your drama or interpretation events. Not especially good at them. She'd be better at something like declamation, where you read a speech that's a famous speech, like 407 years ago or something. Or she'd be better at something like maybe expository, where you do a how-to speech, or I don't know. Speech is kind of whatever speech, you know. No problem. I understand that part of my job is reassuring worried moms.
yeah.
But who cares about that stuff? Instead of feeling bad for him, tell him that stuff's stupid anyway, and you shouldn't care about it. But look, doing a perfect job of executing somebody else's pointless, mindless, busy work task is not an accomplishment, it's a failure. He's barely going to get the money that you put into college back in terms of increased pay, and by the time he's 40 or something. College is not a good investment. Your son's already pretty damn perfect. Okay. Now, I know that he and you and whomever else would like him to be entirely perfect, but just go, you know what, Jeffrey? You're perfect enough right now, just like that. You go ahead and you get 3 wrong on that math test. Okay? You just go ahead and do it. You get 3 wrong, fuck it. Go ahead and get 4 wrong, Jeffrey. Get a B. You go ahead and you go get a B. I give you my explicit permission as your mother to get a B. That's what you need to tell them. No problem.
And yeah, I'll send you the Friday and Sunday. Sunday is still evening, and Friday. So do you want to do Friday evening or Friday afternoon?
Evening, I guess.
Evening, Friday evening. Okay, so like 6:30 to 8:30 or 7 to 9.
6:30, 8:30 is good.
Okay. So I'll send you a text right now.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sorry. Right as I start this thing, I get a phone call from Jeffrey's mom. And naturally, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. There'll be something meow and meows and meow. Meows and meow, 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 meow. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, indeed. What a wonderful world it will be. This is I, your wonderful world's host, Eric Strauss, wishing you a wonderful time and a wonderful world filled with wonder and amazement beyond all your wildest dreams. Indeed, everything you ever wished could possibly come true has already come true. Right now is coming true in front of your faces. Never again will the truth be so evident and so forthright and front and center as it is right now for you here from my mouth. That's a mouthful of insight. My mouth gets dry fast too, Isaiah Rude. My mouth gets dry fast too. Who's texting me now? Everybody's trying to text me with their faces all the time. Texting with their nose and texting with their eyes. Texting with their pies. I'm going to put here. Isaiah Rude was live streaming, so I held off for a while. Isaiah Rude. It's my my autocorrect put Isaiah Rude. Hey, Winston's mom. How you doing? How am I doing? Woo-wee. I tell you, it's been a couple of days here as I slowly roast over the fire in YouTube jail. I keep expecting to return to talking with famous people as my account and them saying we have upheld your appeal. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Not yet. It's a weighty reality of sorts. I had a very good bike ride today, and that was very useful for my mental health and physical health as well. I got myself a good workout. Like, my legs were burning. I was breathing hard, sweating. I had to stop and go at a certain point because I was pushing hard up this hill. And when I got to the top of it, I stopped and rested. So, I feel kind of amazing in a way. Like, oh right, exercise. It does a man a wonderful amount of good. It like makes your head like okay. It makes you okay. When I was done riding my bike over to where my mom is, and I rode for workout purpose, kind of, pushing myself. I was, it was like my ears were unclogging, my sinuses felt all like tingly kind of, and I got off the bike and I went inside and hung out with my mom. I just sat there for like 30 minutes, super chill and just comfortable being there with her because, I burned off some extra energy, or I don't know, sweat out some toxins or whatever it is one does that makes one feel so much better when one pushes oneself so you're breathing hard and sweating. It's like that's what it takes to have the impact, is to make it so it's hard to sustain the level of effort you're putting forward because you're breathing so hard and you're sweating so much, and then you've accomplished something. My legs are sore from yesterday, day before today. I've ridden my bike now 3 days in a row. I think I might try to go jogging tomorrow. You gotta write it down or something. Sure. So I feel strong. I feel like I've got a plan going forward. I've got the impetus now to implement a change that otherwise could take forever to implement, but with conditions as they are, should prove feasible. Yeah, I plan to start. I'm not gonna delete talking to family people or anything. Hopefully, my appeal will be upheld, and at least one of those two strikes against me will be dismissed, or taken away from me, rescinded, I guess is the word. But if that doesn't happen, then I noticed when I just had a warning that it seemed as though that coincided with a reduction in subscriber rate. And whether or not that does in fact have anything to do with like YouTube algorithm, actively suppressing me or something. I don't know. But it might. Regardless, I know that I can't put more eggs in that basket because it's already got 2 holes in it, and it's a target, and it's too easy of a target to hit. At the moment I'm putting eggs in this basket is also potentially a target because there's a lot of material here. The good thing is almost none of it is titled, tagged, or anything. So there's no way to even find what you're looking for at all on this channel. So somebody searching through this pile of stuff would probably have to look pretty long and hard to find anything that could possibly be used against me. But even then, I mean, the thing to remember is it's not like I'm a hate speech channel. It's not like I regularly walk up against these lines or something. I'm talking about fairly tame things. I do have some rather off-color humor, and well, Winston's mom, I've already done some TEing on this thing conceptually. I've got a logo kind of in mind here, which is I'll share the link with you. Although it's I think I will end up changing the tagline on it, but and I also have here, which is yeah. 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 Oh, sure. Yeah. And yeah. Now, here's the yeah, I'm interested in hearing hearing anybody's ideas for slogans. No, I'm not between any at the moment. I'm still sort of yeah. I think you're being trolled, slammed, shammed, and botted. There are several communities who have a darker team spirit, and you are being black sheep by the more enthusiastic couch warriors. Well, I mean, the thing is, Ethan, you got to remember, this strike I got was for a video from like 5 years ago. I got it 3 days ago. It's like I've got thousands of videos. Well, I do believe I'm being targeted by one or more people. And well, I have a warning and a strike. I've appealed both of them, and I haven't heard anything back about my appeal, so I don't know what's going on with that. The thing to remember, of course, throughout all of this is I am not engaged in the sort of things that violate YouTube terms of service. I'm not engaged in any kind of hate speech. I'm not engaged in bullying or harassment. Who's the stupid guy? I mean, the thing is, the old video didn't emerge. It's been there the whole time, right? So, okay, well, look, that video that I got a warning on, it might violate their terms of service. I don't know. It was pretty abusive language, I guess. So, I mean, that one they may uphold. If they did uphold that, even though I don't think they ought to, given a lot of the situation, given a lot of the mitigating factors, which is to say, he actually is, his channel is substantially bigger than me. He actually is spreading misinformation and being a coward. So, I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, my hope is that at some point YouTube is prompted, maybe perhaps by my appeals, to actually look at the situation through human eyes and say, okay, what's going on here? And perhaps recognize that, in fact, what's going on is what Winston's mom is saying. And, you know, they have access to the behavior of the various IP addresses and such. And I'm sure if they put enough attention into it, they could figure out what's going on. But of course, they've got a million channels, a billion channels, whatever. I mean, it's on a video by video basis. That's the thing. They're not dealing with channels. They're dealing by video basis. So it doesn't matter how, like, again, also, I make a shit ton of videos. So if I have one borderline video out of 1,000, that's not such a big deal. If somebody's got one borderline video out of one, I agree, Dark Phoenix, but it's still speculation that needs to be done. I mean, I've got to make decisions based on some sort of conclusion, or not, but at least to know that I'm not. But I mean, the bottom line is YouTube is weird. The bottom line is I don't feel safe continuing to operate through the primary vehicle talking with famous people because I see it as having too much baggage, as being too vulnerable and too susceptible to attack. So, right. It's not just no biggie. It is it's good. It's the impetus I need to Well, I mean, YouTube's going to have to figure this out, right? They can't. It's a security gap, basically. Obviously, I did download all my songs. I did successfully download all my songs. So, and I will upload them to Google Drive. But I'm going to talk about this to some extent, to some length, as well. When I get talking with French people back, I'm still going to periodically be publishing there for as long as I have it, but it's just going to be mostly talking about that subject, I guess, on that channel. The Talking with French people will be shifting into a channel that talks mostly about issues of free expression or rules gone awry, and the significance of digital platforms in our lives and stuff like that. It's going to be something that I need to talk about. And also, I need to talk about, because I want Winston's mom, I would like to meet with you. Talk about that a little bit, maybe at some point, maybe on Google Hangouts or I don't know, something other than the live stream. Do we know what video the strike was for? Yeah, it was for this video where I was talking about World War I and World War II and making fun of Hitler. I was like doing Hitler's voice and saying Hitler-y stuff, but obviously not siding with Hitler here, making him the object of ridicule. So, I don't know. That's why that kind of shit doesn't work. Yeah, so the thing is, I do believe that probably the correct interpretation is there are anti-Eric forces at work who are managing to succeed in some way. For example, one way that you can succeed in harming a YouTube channel is if you send a bunch of different accounts to watch 1 second of the person's video, so their watch time drops down way low. Then that video won't get promoted no matter how good it is. You do that consistently, every one of their videos, sabotage its chance of getting promoted by YouTube. Then that's a good way to negatively impact somebody's channel. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of dedication. But you know what? It's like, let them battle. Let them battle on. Let them try to hurt me. Keep attacking. There's nothing I can do about it. It doesn't mostly bother me because it directs me towards leaner, more effective paths. Directs me towards more important things in my life. It helps me to transition into a more complete person. I imagine this person wallowing in, or persons wallowing in some sort of comeuppance butter. But it's like, that kind of bullshit can't hurt me. There could be a lot of different forces at work. The speculation is something more specific to intuitives. Well, for somebody who's an intuitive, like me anyway, I view the thing as a binary matter. It's either one way or the other. It's one thing or another. I hope you're right, Countess One. So the fact that there's an NI truth to the matter, maybe a confluence of different factors, but there's some sort of correct description of it, is an itch you just can't scratch for an intuitive. Regardless, I'm going to diversify. It'll help to post to different channels, different times. Hopefully, increase the workload of anybody who's actively trying to do harm. Yeah. That's just going to bring them onto you. But I agree. There are different channels, make it hard for them to eradicate you like a virus. Yeah. My grandma was expressing her distaste for ferrets, so I was reluctant to agree. I got them. I got my songs downloaded. So that's kind of the most important thing. I downloaded like 196 videos yesterday or something. They're awful, hideous little creatures, opossums. Smelly, too. Right here, I guess. The thing is, YouTube does seem to treat each channel very distinctly from every other channel. Like, so maybe my channel still, but it's treated as a completely distinct entity by YouTube, as far as I can tell. We'll see if, in fact, there's some sort of carryover or whatever. If I feel the urge to, or if I feel adequately motivated to tomorrow, I may go through the back videos and put a bunch of anything, like basically any humor stuff on private. I don't know. I have a video. I have a channel for music. I'm gonna upload the music videos to that. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I've got TwFP Music. I've got TwFP Archives. I've got TwFP Raw 2, which I'm not going to do anything with. Because as soon as I do anything with that thing, it's going to like be strike, strike, strike. No, Jeebus, you're welcome here. You are totally welcome here. What this is YouTube jail. I'm live streaming from YouTube jail. The whole time you've been not here, I've been saying, "Where's Jeebus? Where's Jeebus? Where's Jeebus?" The whole live stream this far has just been me saying, "Where's Jeebus?" That's it. Finally, you're here. Thank God. We can talk about something else. Now, I just want to take a little bit, give us all a little bit of break from all the heaviness and paranoia and sorrow and so forth for a little kitty time. Oh yeah, we're having kitty time. Some good old kitty time. Oh yeah, kitty, 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 meow, meow, pants. Kitty time. We're having kitty time. Oh yeah, we're having kitty time. It's kitty, kitty, meow. Kitty, 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 meow time. Kitty, kitty time. I'm not lying this time. I checked all the documentation I could find, and I've discovered you're a very special kind of a lady. It's true. I'm not lying this time. No, I'm not. No matter how big your eyes get. I mean, I gave her dry and wet food. She's very picky. The cat thinks I'm a liar. No, the cat believes me. The cat believes my words because my words are filled with truth. She really is a very special lady. It's not a lie. That's the truth. If you think it's a lie, there's something wrong with your specialness ruler. It's just the way she's sitting. She's sitting in a very chubbificationalizing fashion. I got a strike, a fabulous strike. A strike that's bad for me. I got a strike, a fabulous strike, even though I've got a kitty. Kitty meow, who meows a lot and says hello. I yawn some too. Oh, kitty, 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 I love you. You're a wonderful feline friend, magical, soft, and then again. Looking at me, looking at you, looking at Dark Phoenix too. You're a kitty, 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 meow. There. Now that we've solved that problem, and believe me, that was a big problem we needed to solve. Kitty was not getting songs of love. That can't stand. That cannot stand. I got a strike for mocking Hitler. Yes. I got a strike for mocking Hitler is a good beginning of a trochaic pentameter. No, it's iambic. I got a strike for mocking Hitler. I got a strike for mocking Hitler. It's actually iambic tetrameter. It's a good line of iambic tetrameter. I mean, for Christ's sakes, it's like, ay, ay, ay. Talk about a chilling effect. I can't even talk about what happened to me without being afraid that it's going to get me in trouble with YouTube again. And I didn't even do anything. Maybe Countess, but I don't think so. That would explain it. But I said, they only give you like 300 characters or something like that. They don't let you write a big long thing. I just said, no sane human would think this is hate speech. I oppose reducing individuals to members of their group. This is about World War II, and I'm making fun of Hitler. I mean, the thing is, of course, Jeebus, as I keep discussing, is new people come here, they keep raising the same sort of questions, and I address them the same way, which is we just don't know exactly why it is that all of a sudden this 5-year-old video got a strike. Probably what seems more likely than not to me is that somebody was digging through old videos looking for something to complain about, something to flag that might get caught as hate speech. I mean, the thing is, it's funny. Here I am live streaming. I've got 12 people here, and I wasn't necessarily getting a lot more than that. 13 people talking with famous people just a few days ago. So, well, I mean, this is the thing. Hopefully, he is not smarter than we thought. I'm not sure who you're talking about, but let's presume we're talking about some spite monkey being smarter than we thought. I never doubted the spite monkey could potentially be effective. I got 14 right now, you know? So I think it's worth noting that, first of all, it's easy enough for me to alert most people who are participating in this in the first place. Hi, Can Christian Stormer Pagoo. If you're here, anybody who watches this live stream regularly, please don't forget to subscribe so you get ding dongs when it happens. I think that YouTube is skittish right now. Doesn't know what to do exactly. Wants to have a mostly family-friendly platform, but also values free expression and stuff. And so, I understand wanting to exclude actual hate speech, but it's like the expectation that I can go back through all those thousands of videos looking for anything that might now violate the updated terms of service, even though it didn't when I originally uploaded it, and to then give me a strike because I didn't proactively remove it. It's putting a lot of burden on me, right? I'm not saying they can't do that. It's their platform, but it's putting a hell of a lot of burden on me. And when you're talking about a video that's got almost no views, that's 5 years old, They've got to do a better job of contextualizing things. I have got so many videos up. You're going to find some string of words in my videos that runs foul of some sort of algorithm. They need to sort of look at a channel. If they want to approve people's discursive frames or something ahead of time, I can explain to them what mine are. There's nothing to disapprove of. I'm not advocating any sort of violence ever. I'm against any kind of groupism. I can't receive super chats in this video, in this stream. No, I can't. But whatever. I don't care. The thing is, fortunately for me, I never did make much money off of this channel. I never really did make any money off of talking with famous people. So it's fine. The most important element in this whole equation is the way that it makes clean for me a decision that's always been a challenge. Do I want to start something new? How do I know I'm going to stick with this new thing? I don't want to, Well, now I know. Well, you better stick with it because, TWFP is a wounded vessel, and it's not sailing well. So it's time to liberate myself on board a faster ship. What new channel? This channel? This is not the new channel. I'm going to have 2 new channels, at least 2. I also have my music channel, which I already have. I tend to agree with you, Winston's Bomb. I think that this is going to be a very good move. The Spite Monkeys will ultimately end up being responsible for my success in ways they never anticipated, Yes, Jeeves. I would hardly call this a debacle. I will, Ghost Rider. Thank you for the suggestion. You're being censored? What did you put? You put something deserving of censoring? I need another bear. Oh. Spite Monkey, seriously, doesn't anyone see those archetypes on some channels? Their frequency generates an energy that is dark and Oz-like, complete with a wicked warlock and eager flying monkeys. I really don't watch a lot of other YouTube channels. I've seen things that make me feel icky before on YouTube. Yeah, I agree there are lots of toxic expressions of self that exist in the world. Lambo, and you are being censored. I can't find your channel to subscribe to, and I have looked for a while now. But if you don't want me to, well, tell me. Otherwise, I will subscribe. I'm voting Bernie, but I hope he chooses a good VP just in case he, dies. I admit, I do them constantly, Ethan, but more for fun. You can manipulate them so easily. Too easy. No, Jeebus. I thought you were subbed, WM, but I don't have any content. Eric, your music videos make me feel icky. Well, that's a way to actually get me to not like you. I'll give you a passkey to music videos. Thanks, Dirk Phoenix. I have unusually good hearing. Psychics say this is clairaudience, but I tune out bad frequencies readily because instinctively NI recognizes quality, frequency, energy, vibrations, archetypes, symbology. Yeah, kind of. I mean, Oh, Jeebus. Icky, wicky, ticky, picky. So, I'm going to smoke this cigarette. I'm going to ask you guys, if you don't mind, to please, they're really going to make me write out this entire chat and leave. Can you chat amongst yourself for a moment? When I return, I'm going to have an exciting and special surprise for you. That wasn't it. Nor was that. But similar. Not that similar, but you can make a link somehow, I'm sure. Okay, off I go to smoke a cigarette. When are you allowed out of the corner back to the old channel? No. Rachel's not back. She's not going to be here till the 4th. Any good philosopher recommendations? Well, I do recommend reading Zen the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, as I've said before. I've not really read any philosophers, to be honest. I've read bits and pieces of lots of different philosophers for debate cards and stuff. And I've read people's interpretations of philosophers and cut those for debate cards, but I haven't really read anybody's books or anything. It's all just arguments to me. It's like, what are you doing with the arguments? I want my arguments to be more inclusive, or we should say basically less normative, both than they are and then the alternative. Cognitive functions, they're somewhat normative in the sense that type descriptions of some types are a lot more appealing than type descriptions for other types. If an average person were reading, which character's adventures do you want to read about? Jody, who lists all the attributes of the ISTJ, or Susie, who lists all the attributes of the ENTP, as are commonly expressed in type descriptions. Obviously, no one's going to choose to play the character of the ISTJ. They're going to be like, that character sounds boring. Oh no, there's nothing boring about the ISTJ. Why? When you need something fixed, like a latch or something, boy, that's where the excitement begins. Um, there's a philosopher who likes making fun of other philosophers and academics. Dear Abby, I've concluded that my sister is awful at TE. Whatever shall I do? Well, Jeeves, add a spoonful of sugar into her tea, and everything will be just fine. Here, let's see what we're going to read. We're going to read one of these books here. Does anybody have a preference as to which one of these books we're going to read out loud? Can you see the books? Let's give you a look at the books here. No, we're having reading time right now. Anybody want to pick a book? Pick a book. One of these books. You can't just pick any old book. You got to pick one of these books. Which one? Somebody pick a book. Pick a book. Pick a book. Be a book picker. Pick a book. Pick a book. Be a book picker. Pick a book. Pick a book. Be a book picker. Pick a book. Pick a book right now. Pick a book. Nobody wants to pick a book? Okay, fine. I'll pick a book. Let's see. I guess I will read this one. Fine. A Yankee Flyer with the RAF by Al Avery. Here's what the jacket looks like. A Yankee Flyer with the RAF. The Air Combat Stories for Boys. A Yankee Flyer with the RAF. Okay. And here's a picture for us to look at. It's got an airplane in it and a guy running away from it. Oh, dark. Ghost Rider. Don't be daft. Copyright 1941. Swing music was blaring from the radio set in the mess when Stan Wilson entered. His blue eyes, which gleamed with a great zest for living, gazed levelly around the room. I need my glasses. Then we're going to really be in for some story time. Where, oh, where? Here's my, oh, here there. Ah, that's better. There was a look in them which had been born of penetrating the blue depths of Colorado canyons and, later on, at the limitless spaces of flyer seas. As usual, a half smile, seemingly directed at himself, played at the corners of his mouth. There was seldom a moment so danger-filled that Stan Wilson could not laugh at himself. Here he was, really a fugitive from his distant homeland, standing in the Royal Air Force mess while outside the closely curtained windows all of London lay under an inky blackout, listening and waiting for the whine of the bombers. Stan was to be a member of Red Flight, which had been taking on replacements so fast that even the flight lieutenant wasn't able to get chummy with his men before they left him. Stan smiled as he looked over the group in the mess. He had met Judd, a plump youth who was unofficially known as Jellybean, McCumber, a silent Scot who seldom smiled, and Tommy Lane, who never ceased to whistle tavern tunes. At a reading table, scanning the paper, sat Irish Kelly, whose dark face and hawk-like features made him look like a real lead slinger. A man he did not know sat at a low table with a cup of black coffee before him. He was slender, and even though his uniform needed pressing, it seemed to fit him like a glove. His blonde hair was closely clipped, and the cool gray eyes he lifted to meet Stan's gaze held a hint of insolent mockery. This was March Allison, Stan knew at once. A crazy flight lieutenant who was fast making a name for himself by his savage fighting heart and his dizzy flying ability. Stan stepped toward the table. Allison nodded to a vacant chair beside the table, and Stan dropped into it. I'm March Allison. I'm March Allison, he said, and his cool eyes moved over Stan with irritating boldness. The superior air of the Britisher provoked Stan, but he refused to show it because he did not intend to lose his temper. I'm Stan Wilson, he said, the new member of Red Flight. Stan Wilson, Canadian test pilot? Allison clipped the words off in a manner that was almost derisive. That's what my card shows, Stan said testily. You're a Yank, Allison snapped. Then he grinned, and little wrinkles crinkled in the corner of his eyes. I can smell a Yank, he added. If you don't mind, suppose we leave it as the card reads, Stan said coldly. All right with me, old fellow, Allison answered. Only I hope you're a faster flyer than the planes the Yanks have sent us so far. That nettled Stan. A picture leaped into his mind, the picture of a trim fighter plane with low wings and two banks of Brownings on each side of a 2,000 horsepower radial motor. Stan had nursed several of those babies into the blue. He didn't have to close his eyes to remember the test flight card he'd filled out. Climbed to 20,000 feet in 6 minutes, performed 2 barrel rolls, 3 loops, checked all controls in neutral, fired all guns, and checked temperatures of gun warming units. Did a series of sharp dives with steady pullouts. As Stan's thoughts wandered back, he grinned into Allison's face. He had put a number of Spitfires through their paces and knew that they were mud hens compared to the new babies which would soon be coming over from the United States. You'll soon get one with 2,000 horses up ahead, and then you'll junk your Spitfires and Hurricanes, he said. Allison cocked an eye at him and grinned widely. Do you suppose you and I will be hitting the glory trail then? I figure I'll be around doing something, Stan answered, and matched the lieutenant's grin. A mess corporal was standing nearby, hopefully fussing with Stan's chit book, which had just been issued to him. Stan gave the corporal a nod. Black coffee, he ordered. At that moment, Tommy Lane strolled over and flipped into a chair. He winked at Stan as he elevated his lank legs to the top of the table, almost upsetting Allison's coffee. If the notch don't get you, the message must through, he hummed softly. He seemed to be trying to tease Allison. When the flight lieutenant failed to show any interest, Tommy said, Your treat, Allison. I'll have black coffee with a big jug of cream on the side. Allison ordered Tommy's drink and watched the corporal mark it up in his chit book. He rolled an eye lazily toward the lanky youth. Stan Wilson from Canada, he drawled. Stan grinned at Tommy Lane. His eyes bit into Allison. He did not like the way Allison was acting about his past record. If he was to have his chance to get a whack at the Jerrys in this war, it was important that he be considered a subject of the British Empire. And he had come a lot of miles to get that chance. All his plans would be ruined if the truth about him came out. Posing as a Canadian had been a good chance to get by, but there would be embarrassing questions about his past if his true nationality was found out. Questions that Stan Wilson couldn't answer without having his new officer's commission stripped from him. He waited breathlessly to see if Tommy would notice the challenge in Allison's voice, but the tall youth merely grinned cheerfully and said, "We get darn good men from Canada." Suddenly, the intra-squadron speaker rasped and began snapping orders. Every man in the room stopped talking and listened. A sudden tenseness filled the air of the room. "Red flight, all out! Red flight, all out!" "Well, well, out for a breath of my air," Allison drawled. No one else said anything, and the men of Red flight barged toward the door. "Green flight, stand by," rasped the speaker. Stan moved out behind Tommy Lane, with Allison striding ahead. In less than 3 minutes, they were bundled in flying suits with parachutes batting their legs. Like waddling Arctic explorers, they shoved out into the damp blackness of the night. On the cab rank, 3 Spitfires were shuddering under slow throttle. Flight sergeants were clambering down after warming up the motors. The ragged flare of exhausts whirled grotesque shadows across the ground, and oil fumes mixed with raw gasoline sucked up into their faces. Sitters, recording officer, waved a sheaf of papers at Allison as he halted before the flight lieutenant. Sitters looked like a big bear with his great coat muffled around him. "Take the notch at 2500. Landing signal K. Good luck." Allison grinned as he saluted. "Landing signal K," he repeated mechanically. A moment later, Allison was jerking his hatch cover back and pinching one wheel brake. He rammed the throttle knob up and swung the Spitfire around. It lurched away, and his voice came through the earphones of Tommy Lane and Stan Wilson. "Slide up, Lane, Wilson." His voice was cold and patient. The 3 Spitfires shoved their noses into the black wall of the night, their exhaust snarling flame. They hesitated, waiting for the takeoff signal. "Check your temperatures," Allison droned into his mic flap. Stan Wilson settled himself against his crash pad and got his chute squared under him. He had taken up his belt a notch beyond what he thought was possible. Tension gripped him. This was combat with a flaming trail ahead. He wasn't test diving and stunting now. He was hunting and would be hunted. And up there, the night was as black as the inside of a cellar. They got the clearance signal, and the tails of the Spitfires lifted with a blast of prop pressure. They slid down the runway, gathering terrific speed. A few seconds later, they were screaming over the blackout city. Close, tight in," Allison's voice droned. Stan saw below the gray rectangle that was Hyde Square Park. He watched the knifing flame that the searchlights stabbed into the black heavens as they probed the search for the black bellies of the bombers. The dull wrapping of anti-aircraft shells beating against the heavy dome above smashed back the roar of his motor. The ground boys would soon spread a muck of fire and bursting steel over London. Tight, we're coming into the notch," Allison's voice warned. Red flight swept north now in a steep battering turn. The notch was dead ahead. "Shove in, Tommy. Don't try slicing a cable," Allison snarled. Come in, here we go." The Spitfires slid together closely, bunched like darting swallows, their flaming breath licking into the night. In a few seconds, they would be out where they could spread and go into action. For the first time since rubbing elbows with the Spitfire, Stan wondered how you bailed out of the roaring monster if it broke up going 350 miles per hour. He slid his thumb across the black gun button as he set his windbreaker's edge on a line with Allison's Alarin slit. Blood pounded in his ears, and a chill eagerness laid hold upon him. He leaned forward and would have shouted. Allison and Tommy and the whole British broadcasting system would likely get the benefit of it if he cut loose with a cowboy yell. He closed his mouth firmly and fixed his eyes on the aileron slit ahead. The 1,000 horsepower Merlin engine was throbbing, hurtling him up and into the night. He could feel the assuring Brownings in the wings, ready to spew a hail of lead at the enemy. He did not realize it, but beads of sweat stood on his forehead. He was glad he was coming out of the narrow channel of terror, which was charted anew each week. The notch was guarded by unseen steel cables, slender knives spun death, waiting to slice through the wing of a plane like a knife cutting through hot cheese, or to come coiling down upon any ship that struck them squarely. The hydrogen-bloated monsters that held the cables aloft swayed and tugged, sometimes swinging the steel lines far out into the notch. Out of this avenue, the 3 Spitfires bored. When they were clear, Allison's drawl came in clearly. "Pick yourself a bandit." 2 blades of silver light knifed upward. They swept back and forth, then stopped, remaining straight up. This was a signal Allison understood perfectly. "4 bandits, quarter left," he snapped. Before Stan could lay over, Allison's Spitfire was hurtling across his hatch cover, zooming up at the droning bombers. A second later, he sighted a big Dornier just as she lurched upward in a frantic effort to avoid Allison's Brownings. A half smile came to the lips of Stan Wilson. Everything they had said about March Allison was correct. He was the demon in the air. Stan shot a Spitfire up at the belly of the floundering Dornier. He had no time to play spectator. Pressing the gun button, he felt the kick of his 8 Brownings as they drilled away. Pinkish flame spurted from the midsection of the bomber as it whirled about, sliding off on one wing with flames, red now, belching out of it. It turned over and 4 men tumbled out. Stan watched long enough to see their chutes blossom against the red glow of gunfire from below. He was glad the crew had been able to bail out. On his right, Stan saw tracer bullets from Allison's guns. He made out a dark hulk twisting and turning. Then the hulk was lighted as the Nazi craft went down in flames. He couldn't spot Tommy as he zoomed upward, and in a split second, he lost Allison. Circling, he throttled down and let the Spitfire cruise. A chill feeling gripped the pit of his stomach. This was new stuff for him. He was out in the darkness, roaring in a steep circle, looking for another bomber, but mostly waiting to hear Allison's voice. He knew the unseen cables were swaying and reaching, eager to knife him or to snarl his plane. Losing a wing wouldn't be as bad as having the cable come down on you. If you tangle on the cable, you can't bail out. Stan peered down at the muck of the shell fire below. He knew he wouldn't be able to hit the notch without help from at least one of the veterans. Then he saw a searchlight beam pick up a dark shape below. It was a bomber going down to unload. Stan nosed over and sent the Spitfire down in a screaming dive. The flaming field of muck leaped up to meet him, and shells burst close. As Stan closed in on the dive bomber, it suddenly seemed to explode in his face. Instantly, Stan knew the cables had gotten the bandit. Frantically, he pulled the Spitfire up and sent her roaring toward the ceiling. He sucked in his breath as he brushed past one of the bloated gas bags. That was a score for the Ack gunners and the ground boys. Then he heard Allison's voice, cold and cheerful. Coming close, red flight. Somebody got 2 bandits. Who got 2 bandits? Stan slid over and down, sure now of his position. Ahead, he spotted Tommy and then Allison. They rocketed down through the notch, as sure of the narrow pathway as though the noonday sun were shining on the cables. Stan ducked in on Tommy's tail and went home with him. Why ask silly questions? Tommy was shouting to Allison. Allison got 1, Wilson got 1, the Ack boys got 1, Tommy got nothing except Allison's Spitfire in his lap. Allison's voice came back in a sarcastic drawl. I just shut my eyes and cut loose. When I opened them, there was a bandit. There was a bandit. -1 wing. How about you, Wilson? Stan cuddled his flat mic and laughed. He was sure of himself now. He had hit the glory trail and could laugh at its terrors. I just did pot shooting. Later, I'll clip off tails and wings for you. Later, there's a mocking note in Allison's voice. The recall signal was calling the men. They swung over the blacked out city and headed for home. 10 minutes later, they did a parachute walk into the briefing room. Brooks, squadron leader, eyed them wearily. He acted as though he hadn't had any sleep for a good many nights, which was about correct. The 3 pilots moved over to his high desk and reached for report forms. Everybody all right? The squadron leader asked as he began filling out their time record. Fit as flying fish, Tommy answered, grinning broadly. Me, I like balloons. He winked up at Stan. Shut up, Allison snapped. What did you spend on yours? Brooks asked, looking at Allison. 6 or 8 seconds in one burst, Allison answered. 100 rounds, the officer jotted down. Then he looked at Tommy. Tommy nodded toward Stan. 8 or 10, I guess. I used a pretty long burst, Stan admitted. 130 rounds, 8 seconds, officer jotted down. A few minutes later, Stan strolled into the mess with Allison. He felt tired and would have gone to his cubicle, only he wanted to see what the boys did when they came in. Black coffee, that's the thing for balloon nerves, Allison said, and looked sharply on Stan. It's on me. He waved a hand to the mess corporal and called back. 2, black. Facing Stan with a glint of humor in his eyes, he said, Not bad, old man, but you're a Yank and you learned to fly in a fighter. And I think you best break down and tell me all about it. Sorry, but I can't think of a story you believe, Stan said and grinned to hide his uneasiness. Allison was sharp as a tack. He had it in his head that Stan was a Yank, which would have been all right, except no Yank needed to masquerade as a Canadian to get into the Royal Air Force. Not a flyer like Stan Wilson. That's where we're going to stop for tonight. And our story, A Yankee Flyer with the RAF. It's a wonderful story of World War II. And last time I told such a story, I got in trouble for it. But this one, I think, is pretty safe. Unless my British accent counts as hate speech. It's possible my British accent does count as hate speech because it's pretty bad there. Yeah, thanks, Dark Phoenix. Thanks. It's a lot of different voices, okay? I'd have to prepare a little bit if we're going to do that. Boy, oh boy. Captain, you missed a spot, huh? No, Allison is not the Canadian's last name. Allison's a dude. It's a British guy's last name. The Canadian's guy is not really Canadian. He's American. And he He's pretending to be Canadian because it's before the United States got into the war. So the only way he could volunteer to be part of the RAF is if he was part of the Commonwealth, which Canada was at the time. No, it wasn't. Jesus, it wasn't. It was not. Okay, right. So what I was going to do, that I surprised I was going to talk about, was play a song. I don't even know what it's going to be, but I'm going to play it anyway, just like me. It's kinda odd to get so much attention from someone or more people trying to harm. Some kind of evil version of viewer retention. I shrug if I could, at least I could. I can see just fine with this song. See with both my eyes. A group affairs called business. My business smells like Kool-Aid. And he didn't even tip. Ooh, oh, oh. Pride Alliance ate some ostriches and their eggs. None of your business, but you were constantly in this fight. Ostriches say they won't hang out with you 'cause you lie. And the prideful lions make me go wondering why. If I could see the other side, would I think? Today I brushed my teeth twice. I couldn't forget your awful kiss. Stayed with me like a disease. If you want to bring me down to your knees, do it again. Please don't didn't know better. I was here. She was a subspecies of a weasel. Step over there, be quiet. Just for a while, we smell it. Your bullshit over my life. Stop saying that you love me when you won't stop eating all up of my lasagna. Inside my fridge. If you really wanted to connect to me, then you would go out of your way to build a bridge. Senate beaches while hosting beseeches. Please, oh please, don't launch the fire bears. Your fat belly looks good in the middle of sandwiches. I got sand in my feet. So much sand in my feet. You may check me out of my honey love for you. I'll make you all happy and sing this song. After this, I stop right now. I have no American Dasa moist. She's on right now. Go drink you some Florida's natural beverages while I sing Rachel in the morning. I promise this will not take very long. Secretly, you and Dark Phoenix did nothing but eat all the cheese all day long. Cotton cheeses were mild and other cheeses that were strong. Don't bother reading any of my lines, Eric. I do a lot of stuff, but never be aware it. Busting loads of batons without my Rachel. It's kind of funny, but I'm without my Rachel. Nobody here to help me be. You see me ejaculate free, but I could wait just another 6 days. Well. There you go, as requested. Freestyles nested. It's a fun song. That was something. James, why you gotta be such a, I think the word is quirky scamp. You're welcome, Countess. Thank you for liking it. Slow clap. Is that bad? Thank you, Dark Phoenix. Thanks, Isaiah Rude. That's because I'm impressive. Yeah, quirky scamp. I think that's fair. I can't say the word scamp anymore. Is using you consider that bullying? Am I bullying Jeebus when I call him a scamp? A saucy scamp? What did I call him? What kind of scamp was he? Quirky scamp. Right. Scamp is hate speech. Scamp is hate speech now. Sorry. Yeah, we if you look really carefully in terms of service, you'll see scamp is now considered hate speech. Scoundrel is too, as is ne'er-do-well. Ne'er-do-well? Oh, strike two. Strike two for you, mister. What is this? The arbitrary strike bestowing party? I and other scamps really don't appreciate it when you refer to people as scamps in a derogatory way. It sort of suggests that being a scamp is bad. What even is a scamp? Me and my people. That's what's a scamp. What does scamp mean anyway? Has anybody Googled it? I don't even know if it's a word. Quirky Squire. Ham is jealous. What is Ham jealous of? Take some probiotic, Jeebus. How does one love a urinary tract infection? Just just don't treat it like it's a stigma. Just say I love you for you, Ti. You're not defined by your infection, okay? Oh, Jeebus. Okay, you made me lol. You made me actually lol. Yeah. I think it's funny how YouTube's trying to make us all be in elementary school. Like, oh, he was mean to me. He was mean. Bust him, teacher. Bust him. Nah, Ham's a goof. Tramp was a wild child, a hobo without a home, a bohemian who taught a lady affirmation and validation and found his home. Nah, Ham's a goof. I like Octavia Silver's nickname for Jeebus best, Beegis. I like Beegis as well. Jeebus doesn't need a wrench. Nobody needs a wrench. Wrenches only cause problems. Why do you think so many ladies find their entertainment here at Central Casting with our host Eric, who is the spirit of the entertaining scamp? Oh, because ladies love scamps, I guess? Or do they just love scampery? Do they just love a scamp friendly environment? If ladies do scamping, is it called coquettish? I think so. A lady scamp is a coquette. Oh, you coquette! The scamp and the coquette would be an off-brand version of the Lady and the Tramp. Copyright not violating version of Lady and the Tramp. You're gonna get in trouble. You and Jeebus are both gonna get in trouble with the principal. The YouTube principal is gonna make you stay after class for detention. Scampi, right? Shrimp scampi is a kind of shrimp food dish. He is because he's nice. Jeebus, don't be a jerk. I'm gonna move your comment. I don't like those comments about that. You're trying to reduce my girlfriend to some sort of reclamation project. No me gusta. You shall have your comment removed. You just be lucky I don't put you on timeout. I'm kind of hurting for viewers here, so I gotta take what I can get. You know, the thing is, I am. Jeebus, that's a total misinterpretation of Rachel. Nothing broken or battered about her. It's true she's been battling, somewhat in isolation for some time, but we are all to some degree traumatized. I know I am to some degree, but I also know that I'm a lot less so than most people. I have a lot more. I have a lot less fear in general. Okay, well, look. Even people who, okay, fair enough. Even people who are actually damaged to some extent don't want to be defined by that. And I try to respect that. I haven't always in the past, but I try to now. Yeah, ain't no sweat, Jeebus. We're all just trying to make our way in the world, and making our way in the world today takes everything we got. Sure would nice too. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Everyone should wear a hat more often, but choose the hat carefully lest someone knock it off. In other words, no white hats because they get dirty easily. Those people are sometimes the best, Eric. Which people are the best? I don't know which people is the best you're talking about. Anyway, the point is, we all have our damage expresses as fear, first and foremost. And then fear expresses as something else, usually. People who can express fear as fear have a massive advantage over people who don't. Rachel expresses fear as fear, which is no problem. I can deal with that. I say, you have nothing to be afraid of. She doesn't express fear by sabotaging me or sabotaging the relationship. I guess an entirely undamaged person would be entirely fearless. If you never knew anything but love, never experienced betrayal, never experienced. Okay. None of the women I've dated have been fish and chips. Jeebus. Okay. I've not been with any woman who's been the victim of violence. I will not be able to see the truth. Well, I mean, the thing is, like for most conflicts in relationships, they boil down to fear. The fear often expresses as controllingness or anger or jealousy or any number of other things that generally tend to damage a relationship. Um, Trust is, you become a trusting person based on a lot on your childhood and how that went down, whether you end up being a trusting person or not. But even a fully trusting adult, like Isaiah Rude came into his adulthood, young adulthood, very trusting because he grew up in a family like the one that raised me. You know, he was never treated. He was always treated fairly and treated like a human being, and he didn't experience the indignity of being treated anything other than that. And you know, his experience in Pittsburgh was, I think, an eye opener for him, and he has vacillated between, I guess, sadness and anger. No. When I say I am, I am more. I have fewer fears than most people. That does not include things like dying. I'm not talking about big fears. Those things don't really. I mean, I just don't ever really. I don't think about it very often. I'm aware of mortality. Um, I lament the ever diminishing amount of time I have left on this earth, but I don't spend a lot of time being afraid of dying. Okay, bye, Countess. Thanks for being here. So this is an opportunity for me in general to do some, I guess, spiritual work, knowing that there's somebody out there who's actively seeking to harm me, or being able to operate under the presumption that's probably the case. It affords me a chance to sort of try to give over my own anger and stuff, and resentment or whatever, or inclination to battle. I don't have time to waste in that kind of negativity. I'm not gonna let that spite poison my life. I'm just not going to. I don't have time for it. So anyway, yeah, well, nobody enjoys criticism or scrutiny. Criticism kills love. It's something Becky told me. And it's really true. Well, I'm really kind of into the notion of us getting a lot of exercise in Hawaii and seeing if we sleep better, if we work out a lot during the day. I think I've got a couple tennis rackets around here. We could go play some tennis. That'd be fun. I haven't played tennis in years, but I haven't really intentionally tried to work out in years either, and I have the last few days, and it's been very rewarding, surprisingly so. Yeah, we're gonna take pics. We're gonna go to the beach. We'll make videos, and I'll publish them somewhere. I may make a channel called Host Eric for mostly live streaming and vlogging. A channel called Rhetorical Slope for my debate stuff, and some sort of channel for functions as well. And just try to produce only, the playing around one will be on the Host Eric channel, where I can put up whatever blogging and other thoughts I have. And the other two channels will be for serious videos, and I won't put up garbage, and see how it goes. That's the plan at the moment. So that one will be on the Host Eric channel, I guess. Hope there is sun in Hawaii for you. I'm sure there'll be plenty of sun. Regardless, Rachel's never been to Hawaii, so I'm excited about that. It makes me feel good to be able to take her someplace she's not been before, and hopefully she'll enjoy it. And she and I have a really good relationship. It's crazy. It's like we talk multiple times a day. All of our conversations are really nice and pleasant, and mutually supportive, and also places anytime either of us wants to talk about any moist stuff or whatever. Like, hey, I've got some fears or worries or whatever. There's totally fair game to talk about, and it gets resolved right away. We're staying on the Big Island. We're going to Kona, basically. So, yeah, I'm staying at the Big Island. My dad's always liked the Big Island. He doesn't really like the island Oahu. He doesn't like Oahu. Don't get. Hope your dong don't get Hawaii sand up in your hoo hoo. I hope you don't get Hawaii sand up in your hoo hoo. I hope so too. My hoo hoo is generally pretty sand resistant. Uh, you know, I do like to pour sand up my butthole with a funnel. That might get a little sand in my hoo hoo. Not sure. Jeebus will be right there. Got the vacuum. Jeebus, get that sand out of my asshole now! And my mom was sent me a fortune cookie saying, "Be careful about your first impressions of others before she even knew it went down." Spooku. I like Spooku better. You don't need to correct that one. Kim Julin is an astrologer psychic at all over there. I think she's in Kona. So, yeah, something happened in her life and just up and moved off to Hawaii from Minnesota. What's her name? Kim Julin, huh? Is she on YouTube? Hmm. The problem with her is she's on Maui. She's not on the same island as us. Otherwise, I'd go try to get an appointment to get a reading or something. That'd be fun. But she's on Maui. Um, I'll get a tattoo, huh? It's a little bold, and I'm not sure it's a good idea. Okay, I've got to go to bed. I think I'm pretty tired, and I think I'm gonna split. It's been a good 2 hour long live stream. Actually, I'm gonna make it a 2-hour long live stream. So I'm gonna play another couple of songs for 10 minutes, and then it'll be a full 2 hours, and then I'll call it a live stream. So what am I gonna play? Let's see. Pewdity pew, pewdity pew, pewdity pew, pewdity pew. Pew kiki, pew kiki, pew kiki, pew pew. Pew kiki, pew kiki, norm, narm, narm, narm. Narm. If you love Narm, then you love Parm. If you love Parm, then you love Narm. If you love Parm and Narm, then you're Charm. Yes, you do love Narm. My mustache is starting to itch my nose a lot right now, which makes me feel sad in my heart. Why does it make you feel so sad in your heart? Because I don't like it when my nose itches. Shut up, you. You shut up. Right now, mister. You better just shut your mouth, mister. Better shut your mouth. 'Cause I'm going south. Ready? Sammy has a story that need be told. This is a song for an open road, and such a thing must always do its job. Married up Jeff, turned 19, 4 years in and 3 kids weaned. Weary now and questioning empire. Agency, basic discretion. Locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency conferred is really just depression, making sure those underneath them always run. Everybody's panicked at kids. Excedrin. Mathematics to produce success, or impose more on just duress. Agency, basic discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency conferred is really just oppression, making sure those underneath them always run. Doug at 25, bourbon fun, likewise Doug at 21, and so forth, well up into middle age. Ones that seemed to set him free became his whole identity. Now Doug's about another drunken rage. Agency out, basic discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency conferred is really just depression, making sure they're under it always around. Everybody's panicked at the kids. Ooh ah, trend. Ooh ah, mathematics to produce success, or impose more on just duress. Agency out, basic discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. Significance is really just projection, offer you an incentive, but they haven't got a thing that's fun. Without consent, it's really just oppression. By parasites surviving on their wages earned by lying, while they feed their fear of dying, feed upon the futures of the young. Feeding upon the futures of the young. What could be more delicious than that? What kind of a savory delight do you think you'd enjoy more? Is there one? I don't think so. I could play a gobby weatherman. That seems like a good choice for me at the moment. Feels like a winning proposition. I'm going to let the kitty in because Kitty wants to come inside. Kitty's expressing a preference. Come on, Kitty. She does that periodically, expresses preferences. You know how cats are. What with their preference expressing and all. You're living on a time frame I will never know. Alienation and humanity's soul. Imagine you a future after the collapse. Returning to the urgency of isolated past. Picture and community, free of metaphysics. Hunting buffalo while you're picking red delicious. Knowledge of the seasons, wisdoms of old. Fireways and internet to keep away the cold. Hostility is kept at bay. About what you think is in the way. Of life as children of the land. With an agave weatherman. Scrolling down. Imagining a history that never could have been. You lecture at the college, advancement is a sin. Lamenting disconnection in every corporate act. Asserting all the feelings and ignoring all the facts. Hostility is kept at bay. Hostility is kept at bay. By what you think is in the way. Of life as children of the land. With an agave weatherman. You find modernity just so banal. Wish you had been born any time but now. And your experience will run about of exceptions you might allow. You visualize nobility sipping on some port. Tribes of peaceful savages and beautiful comport. Few of history's people ever thusly did comport. Cause life was solitary, nasty, brutish, poor, and short. Hostility is kept at bay. Hostility is kept at bay. By what you think is in the way. What you think is in the way. Like as children of the land. With an agave weatherman. With an agave weatherman. Well, that was pretty sloppy. Sloppy, 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 just like my puppy. Sloppy like a ploppy, plop, plop. Sloppy, 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 sloppy like a ploppy. Plop, 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 plop. Faster, huh? You want anything faster? Play faster, Eric. You're not playing fast enough. God, why do you play everything so slow? What's wrong with you? God. can't share things like they do. Judy always thought that she should have got to when she had the chance to buy. She forgot to buy children, not although she ever called that. People everywhere gather up enemies out there that time they miss a sign. How do they set their priorities? These full ring backstabbing enemies. Shooting heartache and misery, falling into sin from their savage ways. Insulting cars in the misery, we're fighting such pretty larceny. All partition the victory, we call it destruction of the whole damn world. Boom! And boom. Yeah, I'm totally safe. I'm a one-horse man. I'm a one-trick pony, as they say. Leave a request for Satchel Helpful Goods. If the life lived reaches a time when the road splits in two, when I'm there, will there be anybody else around? Or will I travel all alone? That's when I'll look for my sack full of solvency and that satchel of helpful, satchel of helpful goods, satchel of helpful goods, satchel of helpful goods. Every life lived reaches the time when the road reaches an end. When I'm there, will there be anybody else around? Or will I travel all alone? That's when I look for the sack full of solvency and that satchel filled with home, and that satchel of nothing but bone. Satchel of helpful goods, 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 satchel of helpful goods. Tonight. It doesn't really say tonight at the end. It just seems like it goes there, right? Tonight. Yeah. Isaiah's in Memphis, down by the Delta, making it Memphis, down by the Delta. Got his banjo and his upturned bucket. He used to feel sad, but then he learned to say fuck it. Dark Phoenix, whoa, it's okay as long as you know. I don't care if you want to have a crush on me. It's great. Thanks. It's very flattering. You know, it's like, I'm too old for my identity in that regard to change. I'll never be in my own mind, the kind of person that
fills that role. But I'm comfortable with it as a consequence because it will always be innocent and harmless because I'm just not the kind of guy who strays, you know. Yeah, I get a little embarrassed. It's a little embarrassing, but it's nice. It's flattering. It's strange, you know. I'm glad I didn't experience any of that kind of attention, the kind of affirmation when I was younger, or I don't think I probably wouldn't have. I probably would have fucked it up or something. I don't know. I'm just happy to have developed the way I did. I don't want to be that guy. Rock on, Winston's mom. You please remember to rock on. Okay, and everybody out there, please. If you stopped rocking, please resume rocking on. Because off rocking is rocking off, but on rocking is rocking on. I can't play Whisper Shout on the guitar. I have no idea how I would go about playing that song. I could play it on the I could play it on the YouTube. That's about all I can do. Where is it? I will play it on the YouTube before we go. Beautiful playlist. There you are, Whisper Shout. That's for everybody out there in TV land.
I've just been sad. I gave up long ago.
Who needs to know the feeling of love in their heart again?
Mad, but bad was all I'd ever
For all
known.
those out there, you.
Since sad was all I'd been, I'd only mope and
I'm
pout.
feeling down the blue.
Till I met a man named Kid
Time to learn to
who
whisper
showed me
shout.
how to whisper shout. I'm rich, I'm the best, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, I'm rich, I'm the best, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest, I'm the best. I'd just been sad, I gave up long ago. Was sometimes mad, but bad was all I'd ever known. Since sad was all I'd been, I'd only mope and pout. Till I met a man named Kid who showed me how to whisper shout. I'm rich, I'm the best, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest.
Such a funny
I'm the
song.
best, I'm rich, I'm the best, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest, I'm the best.
They don't like you videoing in the casino. I've learned.
I'm the greatest.
They don't like that.
I'm the greatest. I'm the best. I'm rich. I've just been sad. I gave up long ago. I'm the greatest. Was sometimes mad, but bad was all I'd ever known. I'm the greatest. And sad was all I did. I'd only mope and pout. I'm the best. Till I met a man named Kid who showed me how to whisper shout. I'm rich. I'm the best. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. I'm the best. I'm rich. I'm the best. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. I'm the best.
Thanks for suggesting that, Eileen. Thanks for suggesting that. All right. Good night, everybody. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. I think I'm going to try to listen to Isaiah Rude's live stream as I go to bed here, probably. See, I didn't get a chance to listen to it because I'm on the phone with that parent, you know. Again, don't rock off, rock on.